Hello and welcome, members or viewers of the Daily Illini podcast series for the 2014-15 Men's Basketball Podcast. I'm Nick Fortin.
I'm Alex Roux.
And we're here to talk about, John Groce, the head coach of the Illinois men's basketball team, and the tactics that he's going to employ both offensive and defensively.
John Groce came to Illinois preaching a very fast-paced offense, and so far I don't think we've seen it come to fruition just because of the personnel he's had available.
I mean, honestly, you're completely correct in that, with Tracy, no offense to Tracy Abrams, but he's not the prototypical point guard that Groce wants in a system that can move the ball, that is pass first, but takes shots from the perimeter when he's open. Tracy's more of a slasher, more of a combo guard, and that's sort of the basis of Groce's system is he needs a guard that can move the ball, well, efficiently, and can shoot when he's open.
Yeah, and I think we're still not totally getting a prototypical Groce point guard with backup Ahmad Starks, who is filling in for Tracy Abrams this year. He's going to be more of a scorer. He's going to shoot the ball at a high level, and he is quick and he can break down a defense, but he's not really going to be someone that's going to get 10 assists every night. No. He's going to be someone that can shoot the ball and really, I think, create space for himself and space for his teammates.
I know Ahmad said that himself. He said, we asked him, what does Groce want you to do? And he said, well, if I'm open, he wants me to shoot. If I'm, covered, he wants me to pass. He wants me to do whatever it takes to help the team win. So I agree with you. He's not, he's not like, I'm going to pass. But over his career, he's been very pass-oriented. He's been very good at distributing the ball and not turning it over at a very high rate.
Right. I don't mean that as any knock on Starks at all. I think he's going to be a great fit in Groce's system just because of his speed and his athleticism and his ability to really, get past that first defender. And I think we're going to see a lot of high ball screens in Groce's offense from the center and the forwards, Egwu and Hill coming out to set high ball screens for Starks and looking to create some space and see really where it goes from there.
I think you're absolutely correct on that. At least that's what we saw in the Illini All-In scrimmage was a lot of Egwu, kind of popping out and setting a high ball screen for Starks, or Hill doing the same thing. And then, honestly, it was more pick and pop, which really surprised me as Egwu is, popping out to the three, and it's just really creating chaos, even for the Illini defense, in the scrimmage where, they've been playing each other all summer, and they're still, sort of a little hesitant with this. Honestly, it might work really, really well.
Right. Groce has talked about having really a four-guard lineup with Malcolm Hill out there as kind of a stretch four that can put the ball on the floor and shoot. And now we see Egwu in the Illini All-In scrimmage popping out and taking threes. That's 5 guys on the floor for you that can knock down a three-point shot. That can
shoot. I mean, Egwu said that they all worked on their 3-game, which is a little hard to believe when you have Egwu and LaRon Black and Michael Finke, who are definitely back to the basket, kind of back you down guys, more so than they are. I'd never say Egwu at 6'11" is going to go shoot threes, but
right.
He could do it.
It does seem like Egwu has a green light, and it seems like he had it last year, but he just kind of got away from that three ball when the going got tough because he did have a little extended slump last year. But he's shown the ability to be able to knock that shot down, and I think he'll continue to have the green light from Groce, and I think it's up to him if he feels right. He might take a lot of threes this year. We'll have to see.
I agree. Going back to what you said about the 4-guard lineup, that really surprised me because it's different from a lot of, growing up, peewee ball or little, whatever you want to call it, playing grammar school to AAU to high school. You see a lot of, you have a traditional point guard and a traditional shooting guard, and then you have a small forward and a power forward in the center. Obviously, everyone knows that. But then you start to see, Illinois in 05 had a 3-guard lineup, and now Groce wants maybe potentially a 4-guard lineup where Hill is kind of, he can put the ball on the floor, he can do this, he can do that, and he can, bang with the big guys.
Right. I think that comes from being able to do that because Illinois really has these big physical guards. They have Ravonte Rice. Malcolm Hill is considered in that mold. And then Aaron Cosby as well. These guys can rebound. These guys can mix it up. And that allows you to do some things that you might not be able to do with guards that aren't as big and physical.
With smaller prototypical guards.
Right.
Honestly, I mean, Ravonte Rice, to me, you look at him, you see him on the floor, he's a small forward. He is, but he's got the handles of a point guard. And Groce has said, other than Jalen Tate and, Ahmad Starks, he's getting reps at point guard. Cosby isn't, and, Kendrick Nunn isn't, because Kendrick's obviously a shooting guard, but, like Ravante is, and Ravante can play that sort of point forward role and really, create some chaos.
Right, this is definitely the most physically impressive team I've seen under Groce, and the most physically impressive team I've seen probably since 2005, just as far as guys being in shape, guys being low on that body fat, and just being really looking fit going into the season.
Bigger, faster, stronger. Stacey King loves to say that about Derrick Rose, but we could just as easily, Brian Barnhart could say that about any guy in the Illini. This year especially, Groce loved at both media days to talk about, the players' bodies and how they trimmed down and they added muscle, and they realized that, especially for Nunn and Tate, the younger guys, that haven't played in the Big Ten, didn't know that it was going to be this physical. I think Nunn's up to 190 pounds of what looks like almost all muscle. I mean, he's a big, powerful dude now.
Definitely. And what do you think when Groce gets into the bench? How do you think that's going to change his tactics offensively and defensively?
Well, okay, so offensively, I think it might be a little more prototypical. Granted, I don't know who the bench is going to be. Is Cosby going to start? Is Nunn going to start? Maybe at the beginning of the year Nunn starts just because of how he played last year. But if Cosby's coming off the bench, then it's sort of like you said. It's sort of we got these big guys that can bang but can also shoot, can do just a little bit of everything. I know Starks will more than likely start over Tate, but just going back to him defensively, Groce has said that his system, they play a lot of man, which Starks didn't do at Oregon State, and he wants to maybe even pick up maybe a full court press because of how fast Starks is, to just utilize that speed.
Right. I think we're looking at a starting lineup of Ahmad Starks, Aaron Cosby, Ravante Rice, Malcolm Hill, and Nana Egwu, with guys like Laron Black and Kendrick Nunn being the first guys off the bench, and then Maverick Morgan to back up Nana Egwu. So I think we're going to see that four-guard lineup starting out, and then Laron Black, who's more of a prototypical four, can fill in for Malcolm Hill. So that's going to change kind of offensively the dynamic. But still, Laron can still step out and hit that 15-foot jumper.
He can, and so can Michael Finke. So, right. If you put either of those two guys in there for Malcolm Hill, you go to a little bit more prototypical four, like you said, but, right. They can move the ball, they can step out and shoot.
Right. Austin Colbert and Michael Finke both can step out and hit jumpers as well. So I think we're going to this sort of Wisconsin mold of basketball where these big guys can step out and hit jump shots.
All right, that's all for this episode of the 2014-2015 Men's Basketball Daily Illini podcast. I'm Nick Fortin. You can find me on Twitter at Illini Sports Guy.
I'm Alex Roux. Follow me on Twitter at aroux94.
Thank you guys for watching, and please stay tuned for the other videos that will follow about Groce and recruiting and all that stuff.